Hey guys, I just got back from watching the live-action redo of Disney's Beauty and the Beast, and I guess it's a habit of mine to nowadays to watch a movie and then just having to review it to talk about it. Well, here we go, another impromptu movie review. I'm going to be comparing this a little bit to the old one, because you kind of have to. Also, it's less of a review? I don't know. Because anyone who's interested in seeing this has probably already seen it already. But maybe not. I'm going to do a little bit of comparison because it's important. You don't have to have seen the 1990 film, animated film, but it adds a little something perhaps if you have. Overall, I actually think that this version is better. I do have at least one fault that I was able to find with this live action one, and it comes in the delivery of the songs. There were once or twice I encountered things that seemed off when they were performing these songs. For example, Provincial Life, one of the beginning songs sung by Belle, there was a point where she was telling the story she was reading. She was going through it. Oh, and in the original, she was actually talking to a bunch of farm animals and sharing this story. In this version, in the live action, she's singing to herself. And so when it's to the whole, well, you'll see lines like, who are you talking to? You're talking to yourself. Maybe you're as crazy as the villagers say you are. But, that just seemed a little off. Brilliant casting this time around. Ian McKellen played Cogsworth, the late Ian McKellen. Ewan McGregor is Lumiere. Of course, Emma Watson is Belle. And they added some new songs, as well as added new lines to the old songs. And it was all kind of enjoyable. They made Gaston more of a solid villain before his break in Kill the Beast. You got to see it's like a little bit more of his hunter's ambition in there. You got to see a little bit more of it. You got to see how that little bit of evil underneath the surface bubble up a little bit more before it was actually time for the climax. And speaking of Gaston, they gave him a little bit more of a purpose. He appeared to have been a former soldier that fought in the war, and now he was a captain, and I would assume, it would seem that they made great strides in putting him in the position of this village protector, being a former soldier, and of course avid hunter. Of course, he was a huge hunter. But he wore that soldier uniform. And it just made so much sense. They added a bit more depth to some of the other characters, some story arcs that I didn't expect. They added more detail to the Beast before and during the curse, which is interesting. They added a larger stake to the curse, where not only if he didn't find true love would he be a beast forever, but also the staff would essentially die because they would permanently be non-animate objects. They'd cease to be intelligent animated objects. They'd now be just things. So they'd essentially die if their master failed, which adds a lot more to the stakes on people who arguably didn't deserve it. A couple of things that bothered me about the original animated are not there. The beast receives his curse when he's a lot older, not when he's presumably 11. It's like, that's fine. That actually makes a lot more sense. They did a lot more with Maurice, the inventor, father of Belle, where instead of this kooky mad scientist with inventions that are not practical, he's basically an artist and clockmaker. He did a lot of clockwork things, which was stunning and beautiful. LeFou. LeFou is so gay. There's nothing wrong with that. But they legitimately made him that snarky, sarcastic, gay best friend archetype. And that's fantastic. It was awesome. I did enjoy LeFou a lot more than the irritating, high-pitched troll that was in the original animated. A little bit of uncomfortableness, maybe. I know they were probably trying to do it for diversity, but they had several black characters, which is fine, but this was supposed to be, 18th century France, from what I understand? Something along those lines. Every time I saw one of the black characters, I couldn't help but think of what their place in 18th century, in France's society at that time, where they would be. And I didn't want to think that way. I kept going to that point, and it kept bothering me to think about how they were probably property, as tragic as that is. Of course, a Disney movie, they do not mention that, they do not cover that. And so I would like to assume that they're just unquestionably free. But sad case of history, they might not have been. But moving on from that, the songs, of course, were all re-performed. And I enjoyed it a lot. It was very beautiful visuals. The animated objects, the palace themselves, even the village. Everything looked beautiful and wonderfully choreographed when there was dancing. The song of Gaston was quite a blast, I thought. When you had a whole tavern just... It was a great number. If you guys have not already seen it, whether or not you're a fan of the original, whether or not you've seen the original, you probably will enjoy this. You probably should see it anyway. And, well, that's pretty much all I have to say about that. All I can think about saying right now. So, yeah, I'll see you next time. I've probably got an episode of Tuned In coming up. So, yeah. Till next time, this was Josh, and, stay tuned.